My girlfriend secretly called me her backup plan in a group chat. I read every message but said nothing. Then I transferred the house deposit back to my account. Her next call started with, "Please tell me you didn't." Original post. I, 31 male, had been with Ginevra at 29F for just over 3 years. We lived in Charlotte, North Carolina, renting a pretty nice duplex in the Plaza Midwood neighborhood. As far as I was concerned, we were rock solid. We were aggressively saving for a down payment on a house in the suburbs. I work as a commercial HVAC project manager. It's not flashy, but the pay is excellent and reliable. Ginevra is an independent Pilates instructor and wellness consultant. Her client base fluctuates a lot, meaning her income is feast or famine. Because of that, for the last year and a half, I took on roughly 80% of our shared expenses, rent, utilities, groceries, so she could funnel the bulk of her earnings into our high-yield joint savings account for the house. It seemed logical. I loved her and wanted to build a foundation for us. Our target down payment was $65,000, and we were sitting pretty at $58,000. It finally felt real. We spent Saturday mornings driving through Matthews and Huntersville, checking out open houses and talking about paint colors. Then came last Tuesday. Ginevra had driven up to Raleigh for a 2-day holistic wellness expo. She was running late that morning and, in her frenzy, left her old MacBook Air open on the coffee table. We both had the password. We mostly used it to stream Hulu to the TV or order takeout. I got home from work, grabbed a beer, and sat down to pull up a Spotify playlist on her laptop while I made dinner. When I tapped the trackpad to wake it up, it wasn't on Spotify. It was open to her WhatsApp desktop app. I'm not a snooper. I really have no interest in other people's phones. But my name was glaring right at me on the screen. It was a group chat with her 2 older sisters, Qley and Marissa. The message from Ginevra read, "Look, I know, but he's safe. He's incredibly dependable. It's not the crazy fireworks I felt with Julian, but he's my solid backup plan. Once my name is on the deed to the house, I'll have some real stability, you know?" I froze. The beer bottle in my hand felt like a block of ice. I scrolled up a few messages, my heart hammering in my chest. The chat had been active that morning before she left. Qley had asked Ginevra if she was actually going to go through with settling down with me. Ginevra's response, "Ugh, settling down makes it sound like I'm giving up. But yeah, probably. We're so close to the down payment. It just makes the most financial sense right now. He's a good guy, just, you know, the spark isn't exactly blinding." Marissa chimed in, "As long as you're happy, G, but don't you miss the rush? Julian is back in town, by the way." Ginevra, don't even start LOL. No, I need the stability first. Getting a mortgage with him means I can finally expand my studio space without stressing about paying the rent on it. He's my safety net. The backup plan if the studio goes under. My safety net. The backup plan. I stood in my living room, the quiet hum of the air conditioner suddenly deafening, reading those sentences until they burned into my brain. 3 years. 3 years of budgeting, of picking up overtime, of wearing my boots until the soles wore thin so we could save for a house together. And to the woman I loved, I was just a walking ATM. A contingency plan. I didn't break anything. I didn't freak out. I felt strangely, terrifyingly hollow. A cold, absolute certainty settled over me. I minimized the app, put the laptop to sleep, and left it exactly where it was. I poured the beer down the sink. Then, I went to my home office and opened my own computer. Our joint savings account was set up with me as the primary owner, with her as a joint user. The $58,000 in there was mostly from my bonuses and paychecks, combined with what she managed to save since she barely paid rent. I didn't touch her money. I'm an honest man. I looked at the deposit history and calculated exactly how much she had put in over the last 18 months. It came out to $14,500. I left her $14,500 in the joint account. The remaining $43,500? I transferred it immediately to a separate credit union account I had held since college, completely in my name alone. I also logged into my credit card portal and immediately canceled the authorized user card she kept in her wallet for household emergencies. The bank transfers cleared the next morning. Ginevra returned on Wednesday evening. She was glowing, energized, talking nonstop about the expo and the networking she did. I played along. I smiled. I made dinner. I didn't breathe a word about the MacBook. I didn't let my expression change once. I played the part of the dependable backup plan to a T. On Thursday morning, she went to her studio to run a class. I was working from home, doing paperwork. At 11:15 a.m., my phone buzzed. It was Ginevra. I let it ring until the last second before answering. "Hello," I said, my voice completely devoid of emotion. I could hear her breathing heavily on the other end. "Please," she said, her voice high and tight. "Please tell me there's a glitch with the bank." "No glitch," I said, looking out at the North Carolina pines in our yard. "The money," she choked out. "The house fund. I logged in to check the interest. It's mostly gone." "Where is the $43,000? "It's secured," I replied evenly. "I moved my funds to a private account." "Why?" she screamed, her voice cracking. "That's our house money. What the hell are you doing?" "Well," I said, leaning back in my chair. "I realized I don't want to buy property with a woman who considers me her solid backup plan." Absolute silence on the line. "I saw the MacBook, Ginevra," I continued, keeping my tone perfectly flat. "I read the WhatsApp chat with Qley and Marissa. I know Julian is back. I know that I'm just a safety net for your Pilates studio." More silence. I could hear the faint, rhythmic thumping of bass from a workout track in the background of her studio. "I left you your 14.5 grand, I said. "That's exactly what you put in. The rest is my money. When you get back to the duplex, you need to start packing your things." You invaded my privacy," she suddenly snapped, immediately trying to turn it around on me. "You went through my personal computer? You left it wide open on the coffee table," I countered effortlessly. "But that's irrelevant. We are finished, Ginevra. You have until Sunday to find somewhere else to stay, or I will break the lease and you can figure it out yourself." I hung up before she could formulate another excuse. My hands were trembling slightly, but a suffocating pressure was gone from my chest. I will not be anyone's backup plan. Update 1. It's been a chaotic week and a half since I confronted her. Thank you all for the comments. Reading them helped solidify that I made the right call and wasn't going crazy. When Ginevra got back to the duplex that Thursday afternoon, it was a circus. She walked in sobbing uncontrollably, playing the devastated victim. She apologized profusely, claiming I took the messages completely out of context. She insisted it was just stupid venting to her sisters because she was stressed about the expo. I looked her dead in the eye and asked, "Did you tell your sisters I was your backup plan?" She stammered, tried to change the subject, and blamed her sister Marissa for bringing up her ex. I just held up my hand. I told her the respect was gone, and there was zero chance of salvaging the relationship. When the tears didn't work, the anger came out. She demanded her half of the $43,500, arguing that since we were a couple saving for a shared goal, that money belonged to both of us. I couldn't help but laugh. I reminded her that I was the primary account holder, my paychecks funded 75% of it, and she had been living practically rent-free on my dime for over a year. I spoke with my uncle who practices law. I told her, a complete bluff, but delivered with confidence. "You have zero legal claim to that money. Take your 14 grand and get out." She angrily packed 2 suitcases and left to crash at her sister Chloe's place. The next few days were an administrative nightmare. We were both on the lease. I called my landlord, gave a brief, sanitized version of the breakup, and asked what it would take to get her name off. He was surprisingly chill about it. He said as long as my income alone met the 3x rent requirement, which it easily did, he'd draw up an addendum to remove her, provided she signed it. I emailed her the PDF. She ignored it for 3 days, instead sending me paragraphs of text messages alternating between begging me to go to couples counseling and calling me a manipulative narcissist for ruining her financial future. I replied with a single text, "Sign the lease addendum by noon tomorrow, or I will file in small claims court for your half of the rent for the next 8 months." She signed it and emailed it back at 11:45 a.m. the next day. She came by on Saturday with her sister Marissa and a rented box truck to get her furniture. I had my coworker, Mike, come over to hang out so I wouldn't have to deal with them alone. They glared daggers at me the entire time. Marissa actually stopped in the hallway and hissed, "You're petty as hell for blowing up a 3-year relationship over some sisterly gossip." Mike, a guy with zero filter, just leaned against the wall and said, "She blew it up by acting like a leech. Keep carrying that couch." Marissa didn't say another word. They cleared out her cheap aesthetic decor and her clothes, leaving me with the solid furniture I had actually paid for. The duplex echoes a bit now, but it feels incredibly peaceful. I'm burying myself in a new HVAC contract at work and trying to reorient my goals. The $43,500 is sitting safely in my credit union. I still want to own property, but maybe a townhome closer to the city center, just for me. Update 2. It's been almost 3 months. The dust has settled, but there was one final burst of drama a few weeks ago. About a month after Ginevra moved out, I started getting bizarre, aggressive DMs on Instagram from people I barely knew. They were calling me a thief, a financial abuser, and toxic. I brushed it off initially, but then a buddy from my flag football league texted me a screenshot of a TikTok video Ginevra had posted. She didn't name me, but she spun a masterful sob story. The video was a tearful rant about how her abusive ex had drained their joint life savings and kicked her to the curb, leaving her struggling to keep her Pilates studio open. She had a link in her bio to a Venmo, asking for donations to help a small female-owned business survive financial abuse. I was seeing red. She was outright lying to the internet and our local social circle, trying to grift money off a false narrative. I almost let it go, but I couldn't let her slander me to people we both knew. Before I confronted her that Thursday, I had taken photos of her laptop screen with my phone. I didn't make a public post. Instead, I sent the photos of the WhatsApp chat directly to the mutual acquaintances who had sent me nasty messages, and to a few key gossips in our friend group. My message was brief. Here is the truth about the breakup. She left with the $14,500 she saved. I kept the $43,500 I earned. Don't fall for the scam. The backlash against her was immediate. The TikTok video vanished within 24 hours. The angry DMs turned into apologies. I found out later that a lot of her clients who saw the video and then heard the truth ended up canceling their memberships with her, alienated by the lying. I don't feel bad at all. You don't get to treat me like a backup plan, live off my income, and then cry victim when I take my money and walk away. As for my life, things are great. I was promoted to regional project director, which came with a serious salary bump. I decided to delay the house purchase for a bit. Instead, I took a chunk of that savings and bought a restored 1972 Ford Bronco I've been eyeing for years. I spend my weekends working on it and driving up into the Blue Ridge Mountains. No compromising, no budgeting for someone else's business ventures. I'm back on the dating scene, but keeping it light. I'm definitely more protective of my assets now, and my finances will remain separate, but I'm in a good headspace. I narrowly avoided a disastrous marriage, and I have my peace of mind and my bank account intact. Final update. It's been 14 months since the safety net incident. I wanted to drop one final update because my life has completely transformed for the better, and it all started with that painful realization. I don't live in the duplex anymore. I actually ended up leaving Charlotte. My company won a massive contract in Austin, Texas, and they offered me a relocation package to head up the project. I've always liked the vibe in Texas, and with nothing holding me back in NC, I packed up the Bronco and moved. I used the remainder of that savings, the money Ginevra assumed was hers to fall back on, to put a down payment on a modern loft right outside of downtown Austin. It's not the suburban house with a yard we were planning, but it's entirely mine. I furnished it with leather and dark wood, set up a home theater, and it feels like a real sanctuary. I haven't had a single contact with Ginevra since the day she signed the lease addendum. She is blocked on every platform. However, the world is small, and I got a random update through the grapevine from my buddy Mike a few months back. Apparently, Ginevra's independent studio went under without my money covering her personal bills. She had to close it down and take a job managing a corporate gym franchise, which she notoriously hated. And Julian, the guy who gave her fireworks? They got back together, but they broke up spectacularly after he got caught on a dating app. Funny how that works out. I'm not one to hold on to bitterness, but it felt like poetic justice. I'm currently dating a woman named Sarah. She's a software developer, makes her own money, and is fiercely independent. We never argue about finances because we split everything fairly and transparently. We are taking things at a comfortable pace, but the dynamic is refreshing. There are no ulterior motives, no secret chats, and no one is a contingency plan. We just genuinely enjoy our time together. In hindsight, opening that laptop was the greatest stroke of luck I've ever had. It crushed me at the time, but it prevented me from making a colossal mistake. To anyone reading this who feels like they are carrying the entire weight of a relationship, listen to your instincts. Guard your heart and your wallet. And never accept being someone's second choice or backup plan.